Morning, everyone. We all ready? Everyone set up? Okay. Well, you can feel the fall's in the air. Big day is tomorrow. I want to take a moment to lay out what we've accomplished leading up to this historic turnout election day tomorrow. This is what it looks like to vote in a pandemic. Knowing we had some obstacles to overcome, we took steps to maintain all voting options here in Georgia. 3 weeks of early voting, no excuse absentee ballots, and in-person day of election voting, which will be tomorrow. We let no one, no candidate, no group stand in your voting option preference. If you wanted to vote by absentee, we maintain that option. If you want to vote in person, you can. But please, only vote once. In June, I came before you in this exact spot to outline my November action plan. And since then, we've hit every mark. The goal has been to address issues we saw in polling places like the one here at Park Tavern. Because of COVID, Fulton was forced to collapse several polling locations and put over 16,000 voters here, leading to long lines, despite, from our analysis, having one of the most efficient processing times in the state. Your vote matters. So we had 4 action items: increasing poll workers and enhanced training, deploy more on-site technical support at the polling locations, decrease lines through more polling locations, and move voters to pre-election voting day options. On poll workers, through our Secure the Vote public service announcements, and through our diverse partnerships, such as the Metro Atlanta Chamber of Commerce and nonprofit organizations, my office supplied the names of more than 52,000 Georgians who wanted to step up as poll workers. Listen to that, 50,000 Georgians answered the call to serve your local election teams. We made the call and you answered. Georgia voters owe a great deal of gratitude. This is community volunteerism at its finest. And as we have all learned to manage in this COVID environment, the counties have been able to do more enhanced hands-on training. In the area of technical support, through our vendor Dominion, we have brought on enough field service techs to deploy in all of Georgia's 159 counties. What we saw in June were simple issues, more tied to training than actual equipment. We are approaching 2,000 field service techs to be deployed between contractors and county hires. These techs are on standby to help any polling location, no matter their zip code, small or large, who might be struggling. Another goal of my November action plan was to have shorter lines through the addition of more polling locations. We made the call and the counties answered. The counties have stepped up and added them, most notably right here in Fulton County, where they have added 91 polling locations, a 50% plus increase. But this goes back to a goal of mine since I was elected. To shorten lines, there needed to be more locations. That is why I introduced, and I intend to reintroduce, my bill to require polling locations with over 2,000 voters to split into at least 2 precincts to address line length if there is a line of an hour or more on election day. The final item of the November action plan was to move Georgia voters to pre-election voting options. This is where we can already measure our success. As we stand together here today, 2,689,692 voters came out to vote early in the record 336 early voting locations. And 1,225,455 voters have had their absentee ballots accepted by their counties. That means we have 3,915,147 voters who have done what we have worked and already have cast their ballots, a record 55% of active voters. We have moved about 1.4 million voters who would normally have been election day voters off of that day, and they've either voted early or voted absentee. This has been a resounding success. To achieve this success, we have leveraged technology more than ever before. We built out the online ballot request portal in record time. 409,398 Georgians requested their ballots utilizing our secure absentee ballot request portal. That is over 40% of all new requests for the general election. And for those that requested an absentee ballot, we launched GeorgiaBallotTracks.com. Over 187,000 Georgians signed up for this service to get proactive notifications of their absentee ballot status. Now, we come to the big day tomorrow. There will be tens of thousands of poll workers staffing over 2,400 polling locations to help assure their neighbors can vote safely and securely. We all know elections matter. The state has taken unprecedented steps to help counties prepare. The counties have done amazing work to deliver this historic election to their voters. Your vote counts. That said, we need to manage all of our expectations. If you go to vote first thing in the morning, the likelihood is you will be in a line. Be patient. Extend grace to those great Georgians that are working hard so you can cast your vote. Elections matter. There are 262,700 Georgians who still have absentee ballots, likely on their kitchen table, and they can vote. Please make your choices on that ballot and return it to your local ballot drop box or your county registrar's office. Your vote counts. There has never been a perfect election. This one has gone very well so far. Tomorrow we'll have challenges. The job of the counties, the poll managers, the poll workers, will be to address those issues quickly. The state stands ready to help where we can. Elections matter. We are blessed to be Americans. It is each voter's responsibility to do their duty to protect and defend our republic by participating in this historic election. My goal, which we have been working towards since my election, is to provide a smooth, safe, responsible, and sensible voting experience for each and every Georgia voter, regardless of zip code. Your vote counts, and elections matter. I am grateful to all those Georgians who have done their part and have voted. I also want to give my personal thanks to those tens of thousands of Georgians who have stepped up to make this election a reality. Your vote counts. There are 159 election directors in all of our counties that need to be thanked by all of us as well. I want to give a specific thank you to my election staff that has been putting in long hours and giving the voters and counties the support they need to do their jobs in this process. Do not show up to the polls without checking to confirm your location. Do not show up unprepared. Go to My Voter page right now and confirm your polling location. Please go to My Voter page at mvp.sos.ga.gov to confirm your polling location. Your vote matters. Elections matter. Tomorrow will be a record and successful election here in Georgia. And now, we have paper ballots. I want to assure all voters, regardless of party or ideology, that the outcome of the election will be accurate. We will have an audit to verify the results. You can all have faith in the outcome. And that is vital because elections matter. And your vote matters. I have a meeting I have to attend to, and Gabriel Sterling, our implementation manager, can answer any questions you have on our final preparations for the day tomorrow. Thank you very much for coming today. We'll meet again tomorrow. Gabriel Sterling. Thank you.
Secretary. All right, what do you got?
Mr. Sterling, the Secretary referred to
there will be challenges tomorrow. What will those challenges be?
We don't know until they occur. Generally speaking, it's going to be opening that we've seen in the past, lines that build up before we even open the doors that people can get irritated with. It's similar to what we had here at Park Tavern, where you had 350 people lined up when the doors opened, and they can only process 160 an hour. But we've taken all the steps we think we can, working with the counties, to prepare them to address any of those issues quickly. With a mask on in the truck, I can't hear. So. From our discussions with the EMC and Georgia Power this morning, we're down to maybe 2 or 3. One of them I know has been moved to Sandy Plains over in Cobb. Everything in Habersham, White, Rabun, they're all back and energized now. But we are continuing to make sure they're pinging those meters to make sure they're still live and active, because there's still windy things, there's still trees that can come down, so we're just working with them directly to make sure they're all going to be energized and ready to go on Tuesday morning.
Now that we have more numbers coming in as far as early voting and absentee voting, what's the updated timeline on when we can expect results?
Nothing is going to be too different than what we've seen already. The good part is, by doing the pre-canvassing and the scanning of ballots, the vast majority, and we've been in contact with the counties, they're almost literally all caught up, except for stuff from drop boxes in today and yesterday potentially, and what's going to come in tomorrow through the mail and through those drop boxes. So the bulk of the votes should be known by Tuesday night, early Wednesday morning, and then the remaining of the processing should probably be Wednesday morning, but depending on the outcomes in some of these close races, it'll probably be Wednesday morning if we have a final outcome. Yes?
Can you update us on the latest number of rejected absentee ballots, please?
I have no idea what that is right now, but we'll get that to you.
Have there been any challenges to absentee ballots?
Not really. The systems work really very smoothly. The counties are really happy with the adjudication software they have. It allows them to pull their canvassing teams in towards the end of the process, like today and tomorrow, to get those ballots adjudicated, and it's a lot better than the manual process that we used to have. Justin.
Yeah, you were talking about those absentee ballots. How close are those to being counted? I mean, they have to hit that button, we know. Are most of those processed by the bigger counties? We know Fulton, Gwinnett, Cobb getting a lot of ballots. Are those already in the system at this point?
The vast majority are already in the system. They began 2 weeks ago, which was a very wise move by the Secretary and the State Election Board to allow for that. Like I said, the vast majority will be prepared to be given out on our unofficial results on Tuesday night.
And do we expect that to be the first results we see, are those absentee?
It's up to the counties. They're going to have the early vote in as well, because they have to get the memory cards off those scanners, and they could pretty easily get those into their election management system and put that into election night reporting either. It's up to the counties to decide how and when they want to do that.
With the CDC opening it up for people with COVID to vote, how are poll workers going to handle that?
Well, the main thing we've been telling people from the beginning, even back in June, is you cannot put up any additional barriers to voting regardless of somebody's health condition. So what you're going to need to do is make sure you accommodate those people inside the polling place in a safe way. We've provided masks, sanitizer, all kinds of items. We've suggested in some cases they might take them off to a special side, perhaps give them a paper ballot to vote themselves off to the side, away from anybody else, and try to get them through the process as quickly as possible so as to minimize exposure to anybody who's involved there. But I think the vast majority of people who are quarantined or might have COVID will act responsibly, and the vast majority of those have probably already voted early, since 55% of Georgian active voters have already cast a ballot.
It sounds like you're encouraging them not to use the machines because then they wouldn't have to be.
Well, we're cleaning in between them anyway, but I think a better part of valor and using common sense of the poll managers are going to be the ones that have to make the decisions of how to handle those things. Like, you can't turn away somebody because they're not wearing a mask. So it's a similar kind of situation, but all poll workers and individual poll managers are going to have to make those decisions on site, but you cannot give any additional barriers to any Georgian who's registered who wants to vote.
So the Secretary said 1.4 million people that typically vote on Election Day voted early instead. What kind of data are you looking at to suggest how many people will show up tomorrow, and what will that then look like at lines at the polls?
Well, the main thing is there's two parts to that question. We're looking at historical turnout data, basically, and the behaviors of those people who are left in the pool of voters, which is down to like 3 million and something. So we were looking at potentially 2 million. It may be a little bit lower than that, because what we didn't see through the successful use of our pre-election day options, we normally see a big spike on the Friday before election. We didn't see that big spike. We saw an uptick, but it's not the big 50, 100% more, because they spread themselves out. So by moving those 1.4 to 1.5 million people over, we know we're going to lower the impact on election day. Secondarily, we worked with the counties to examine each and every polling location and had a turnout scenario that's a little higher than we think we're actually going to see. We did an analysis through the MIT line management and poll manager tool that basically said we're setting a time of 20 minutes and an average rate of what would be, we're doing 10% an hour for 12 hours, which means we're going to allow for some of the upticks in the middle. And every county is deploying along those lines, so they should have enough equipment and personnel to handle it, even if it shoots past our estimated voter turnout. Mark.
2018, we saw on election day and after election day so many court challenges to counting absentee ballots and provisional ballots. A lot of those were focused in Gwinnett County, but it was a lot of cases that came forward in the days after the election. What are you expecting to happen this year? Are you prepared for similar challenges?
We anticipate that in any situation where we have a close election like this, and in what is now viewed as a swing state, there's going to be challenges. There'll be challenges from Republicans, there'll be challenges for Democrats, and we expect them all to be going into court more than likely. Our goal is to make sure we have a safe and efficient process that is transparent and everybody can agree with the outcomes, especially when we do the audits to make sure that everybody understands that happens. Now, we can't know what's exactly going to happen because that's why you run the race, I guess. So we do anticipate that there will likely be some kind of lawsuit, some kind of challenge somewhere. That it?
Have you guys decided on which statewide audit?
The secretary will make that decision at a later date. Anything else? All right. Thank you all so. Oh, right over here. Sorry.
So there are voters out there that are saying they have yet to receive their absentee ballots. I mean, we're 1 day away from the election. What are the next steps that they can take since it's so last minute?
There's two things they can do. They can wait for today, see if the ballot comes in, vote it, and then drop it in a drop box. But the main thing they're probably going to have to do is they'll probably have to go to their polling location, tell the poll worker and poll manager they need to cancel their ballot, get that canceled, and they'll be able to vote in person.
And one more thing, you mentioned the line management tool.
Yeah.
Did it indicate any areas that might have more significant lines than others?
Not when we gave the final estimates out there. Everybody said that 20-minute or so. And there was two things we did on that. We did the poll pad check-in times, and then to make sure they had enough scanners if they had, basically a full cohort of people show up. And we ran that tool again for Fulton County just on Friday, and they did some redeployments of their poll pads because of it.
I'm sorry, can
Yes.
you repeat the spelling on your name and your title, please, for recording?
Gabriel Sterling, Gabriel, and thankfully, I'm not going to do this that much longer, Statewide Voting System Implementation Manager. So I love that for your chyrons. So, all right, that it? Thanks, y'all.